Good morning, everybody. This is Patricia. I want to welcome you to this morning's podcast called The Dialogue. Before we get into our show, I just want to let you know that I hope that you are having a wonderful morning, that you are motivated today, that you are up with ambition and determination, and that you have a purpose in mind today so that you are not in your day just going about aimlessly, so that if you are fulfilling your purpose or your goals, you are ultimately in a place of fulfillment. So welcome. Today on The Dialogue, I want to talk to you about a topic that is very sensitive to my heart for personal reasons as well as many other reasons. And I feel like it's a topic that's cliche, that's not talked about as much. We see a lot about it on social media, but oftentimes we see it when it's actually too late for the person that has been impacted by this very issue that I'm going to talk about today. So don't forget to follow the podcast. I am excited. It is now available on Apple Tunes and other sites as well as Google Podcasts. It's also on Anchor and Spotify. So take a moment and follow the podcast. Make sure that you share it with someone that may be battling with something secretly that many other people don't know about. Maybe you're that person that they trusted and you don't know how to help. So maybe this podcast, you share it with them and it gives them the wisdom, the insight, or the comfort that they need in order to get help. And ultimately, that is the purpose for this podcast called The Dialogue. So dialogue is a conversation between two or more people. And so unfortunately, if I'm not in front of you guys physically, I still get to share this information with you from my location to your location, no matter where you are, no matter what city, state, or country you're located in. And as you receive the information, you go and you talk about it to someone else. And then that is how you guys have dialogue, but ultimately I get an opportunity to speak with you as well. Don't forget, you're always more than welcome to send comments or emails to me so that we can dialogue back with one another, so that you are able to get and receive insight, wisdom, knowledge, direction, and ultimately prayer for the direction that you need to go, the person that you need to impact, the purpose that you need to fulfill, and the destiny that you need to arrive at. So welcome. I hope that you enjoy this podcast. Today, I want to talk about the fact or an explanation as to why I hate the word addict. I hate the word addict. So most people they always say, don't say the word hate. We were taught when we were growing up, don't say that you hate people and things of that nature. However, I have come to understand that I have a righteous hatred for the word addict. So I'm a chemical dependency counselor. I've been in this field for about 2 years now. And it's very interesting. So on a daily basis, I get to go to my job. And this is actually the first time, or maybe second, that I've actually disclosed this on this podcast as far as what I do. And it's so ironic because I've been counseling people for years. Majority of them impacted by rape or molestation, homelessness or poverty, abandonment or rejection by their parents, mental issues, and the list goes on and on. And I know you wonder where I got that experience from, because it was personal. Those were a lot of things that I went through. Codependency, being in a toxic, narcissistic relationship for 10 years, not being able to see my worth and value because of relationships with family members. My life is just dynamically imploded with unfortunate circumstances that God has helped me overcome. So drug and alcohol usage is not one of the things that I was impacted by personally. I've never actually used substances in my life. However, I have people around me, loved ones, friends, that have utilized drugs as a coping mechanism or for recreational purposes, simply because they like it. They like how they feel. They like that out-of-body experience, that they can escape the moment through a chemical. And I will be completely honest. I recently had a friend that overdosed and passed away. And she was a wonderful, amazing person. I'm not going to disclose her name for discretionary purposes, because this is not at all a moment to use what happened to her to further my own personal agenda. However, it was something that sparked me to do my first podcast pertaining to this particular conversation, because I was going through something, and you guys can check out my last podcast called The Drug Zone, and you'll hear the story about how this woman came into my life and helped me. The beautiful part about it is that no one actually knew that me and her had that moment of impact with one another, but it forever changed the direction of my life. And so that is partially the reason for the title, I Hate the Word Addict. Because when I first met this person, I not only did I know that they were addicted to drugs, you couldn't tell me that they were an addict. Because I think that's number one of the hardest reasons for family members that have people that are addicted to drugs to admit. You know, when we were kids, you would hear the word, that person's a crackhead, or that person is all type of derogatory comments. And then for us to have it so close to home and have it be so personal to where this family member, maybe it's your mom, maybe it's your dad, maybe it's your cousin, maybe it's your brother or sister, is labeled as a crackhead or a fiend by other people. And then you come to the realization that that's what it is in the most derogatory sense. They are an addict. And so I am familiar with NA and NA Celebrate Recovery and other organizations that have come about to tackle this plague, to tackle this dilemma that we have in our communities that have ravished our communities and households and families. I can be honest and say, I think out of about 85, maybe 80 to 85% of the world, someone has been impacted by drugs. Someone that you know, someone that you sat next to on the bus, someone that you got their telephone number, someone even that you may live with may secretly have an issue where they're battling with drugs. And it's such of a secretive, isolating problem. Most people can do it, and it can get so bad to where they actually don't even care that other people know, and it deforms them. It changes their outward structure as far as their physique. Their teeth decompose oftentimes, loss of weight gain, and all type of things, hair loss, many different things that impact a person when they're actively using illicit drugs. However, I work at a clinic or a facility, and I'm the counselor there. And now they prescribe what is known as methadone, Suboxone, Vivitrol, and these are supposed to be legal drugs that are inhibitors for the craving to want to go out and use illicit substances. So I will get into that information another day. As of right now, let's stay focused and let me help you understand why I hate the word addict. And so I get an opportunity to go to work, and I work a certain amount of hours, and in those hours I get to have sessions with patients that tell me their stories. They tell me what happened to them in their childhood. They tell me their dreams. They tell me the goals that they had, how they wanted to go to college and be nurses and doctors and start businesses and all different type of things. And one specific interaction with drugs changed their life. At this point, I don't think I've met a person that has actually done drugs that didn't try it multiple times or that didn't get hooked. If they consistently did it, some people said within a day, within a specific time that they used it, or in a week, these people were chemically dependent on substance usage. The reason why I love what I do is because I get an opportunity to come into this person's life, give them logical reason or rational reason as to why they are actually using drugs. And so lately, I've had the wonderful opportunity to start to watch this show called Intervention, which is on YouTube. I believe it's a 30-minute series. However, when they take the commercials out, it's about 12 to 15 minutes of recorded content. And so on these shows, they go into people's lives, either their families write them letters or a very close friend write them letters, and they ultimately follow them around for a little bit. You can see people in their homes doing drugs. Their kids are there. They either lock themselves in a bathroom or in their room. They're staying with the parents. Some people are staying out on the street. And these people are using drugs, whether it's amphetamines, methamphetamines, barbiturates, tranquilizers, fentanyl, cocaine, heroin, marijuana. The list goes on and on. PCP. Now I've heard of just a couple other different drugs, Rizzo, crocodile, and xylazine. So throughout this list of drugs, they are utilizing them, and you can see that their families are devastated. Their friends are devastated, and ultimately they are as well. These people started out, I don't want to say normal, because whose life can we actually put a standard up to say normal? Because we've all had diversity in issues of adversity. And so you will see these people in the show. They will start out, they've had some either childhood trauma or something happened to them, and sometimes they've even had a wonderful life. I know sometimes, I've talked to people and they're like, my life was amazing. I didn't have a bad childhood. I got with someone that introduced this to me, and my life took a total turn for the worse. And so I was just binge watching this show. I'll tell you my guilty pleasure. I binge watched this show, a couple episodes, back to back to back. And it seems as though it was the same story, but it actually wasn't. Some of these people have been raped. Some of them have been molested. Some of them have been beat on by their fathers and their mothers. Some of them have been abandoned. Some of them have been bullied, and their childhood just ravished. And so they felt alienated, isolated, misunderstood. And so drugs was something that they turned to. And you would hear them say that their families, when you talk to them in an intervention, they were beautiful. They had so much going for themselves. They went to college. They were a nurse. They were a doctor. They were a dancer. It was one celebrity, Amber Rose, who actually went on this show, and one of her best friends was hooked on drugs. And when she went to try to do the intervention with her, ultimately her boyfriend deterred her or discouraged her from going, and her 2 children were actually in need of help as well, because it does affect the children. They ultimately grow up feeling as though their moms and dads doing drugs was their fault. If they're so young, they'll feel like it's something they've done wrong that pushed their mom and dad away from them. And ultimately, it will open the door for so much trauma and anger with the children. And they need therapy as well. And the family needs therapy, because it can just be so dramatic and heartbreaking. However, today I want to switch the narrative. I know that you hear me talking about the person that is addicted to chemical dependency and how much heartbreak and pain that they've caused from their addiction. But it still stands that I hate the word addict. When people go to NA or NA, they say, hey, my name is such and such, I'm an addict, and they'll go on to share their story. However, by faith, I understand that whatever you speak over yourself and whatever you prescribe to yourself or call yourself, that's ultimately the destiny that you'll walk out. So if you go to a meeting, and this is no disrespect to any type of meeting, but I'm just the type of person, I believe that you should watch the things that you speak over yourself. And you consistently and every day have to acknowledge and or state, hi, my name is such and such and I'm an addict. Hi, my name is such and such and I'm addicted to heroin or fentanyl or cocaine. However they state it, that is going to continuously create a stronghold over this person's life to where their mind is like, okay, you're an addict, you're addicted. I don't understand why they can't say, hi, my name is such and such. I was addicted, or I am no longer addicted to such and such. To me, the word addict, it brands a person in such a negative connotation that when people start to know them or come into a place of getting to know them, this is how they brand and tag them, and they don't look at them the same. Being an addict, unfortunately, can be one of the worst reputations that a person has. Worse than being homeless, worse than being in poverty, because people that they say are addicted are known or have been stigmatized and stereotyped to do some of the worst things to get what they need. Sometimes they're looked at as though they're prostitutes, that they will steal a person's man to get money, that they will rob, that they will cheat on people, that they will steal, that their finances are horrible, their home life, they don't have any connection, anybody that loves them, everybody has turned against them. And it seems like everybody in the family knows that one particular cousin or aunt or uncle or even just a friend that is addicted to drugs. But I want to help you today. I want to help you understand that if you are the person that does have an issue with drugs, and I tell my patients this all the time, you are not the problem, you have a problem. And I sometimes make them laugh because I'll tell them, everybody has an addiction. Some people have an addiction to money. Some people have an addiction to gambling. Me, I have an addiction to sherbet, raspberry preferably. And any addiction that you have, it can cause issues. If you're addicted to gambling, that's money. If I eat too much sherbet, that could be a health issue in the future. And by the way, I have significantly slowed down, as well as keto popcorn. Okay, but just because I eat keto popcorn, that is not the same as a person being classified as an addict. Yes, if I ate too much, I would probably be talked about, demeaned, and degraded because I don't have that womanly figure that everyone is just so nuts about. But that's not enough to make people not want to talk to me, to make people stay away from me, to be alienated, demeaned, and degraded with verbal words and mental abuse. It's not the same thing. And so in the sessions and actually on the intervention, and I said I would love to do that because there's only so far with my scope of practice at work that I can go with the patients. You know, getting in there, talking to them about God, elevating their faith, because they've seen so many deaths, so many people have seen people overdose and die. They themselves have overdosed and died. And some people have come back to life. Some people ultimately are not here to tell their story, but they've seen it. You know, people that have issues with substance usage, they sometimes have been severely taken advantage of. We always look at them as though they're the ones taking advantage of people. No, they've also been taken advantage of. Some people have been raped because, you know, when you do drugs, you're incoherent at that time. You can either be passed out. Some women have been taken advantage of. Some men have been taken advantage of as well. But ultimately, that's not a story that anybody ever wants to tell. And on top of that, people have been devastated by the comments that they received and the remarks from people. And I'm not going to lie. I will be completely and blatantly honest. If you know someone on drugs or that is addicted, sometimes you do have to stay away from your own mental sanity, because it is a revolving door and a roller coaster. If this person has not decided to make up their mind that they want to be sober, that sobriety is the lifestyle that they want, it will be up and down. And then a lot of times it's a dual diagnosis, because not only do they have the chemical dependency, it also leads to a lot of mental issues. Many people that are chemically dependent have a lot of mental issues. However, I'll put a bullet point in that and do a segue or another segment, and we'll discuss more of that later. However, it still stands that I hate the word addict. I hate that they have been branded. I hate that they have been mistreated and talked to and lied on. And most people think once they say it, it's like, oh, it's true, because that's just their nature. But I want to ask a question. What makes them any different from the person on Wall Street that stole all the money and created the crash, the economy crash in 2008 with all the mortgages? What is the difference from an adulterer? What is the difference from someone that is a cheater or a liar or a manipulator? I want to put this question in your head. Why is the addict or the addicted person deemed worse or horrible, more horrible than an average person that has an issue as well? So what I try to do is I try to offer perspective. And it is very difficult at times to give hope to a person that every time, we take a chance with life every time we get up. But this is a different type of chance, because one injection, one use of snorting, one use of smoking, not even a full use. Maybe you get a hot shot, which is where, someone shoots you up with something and it just wasn't good drugs. But you can say good drugs, but are any drugs good? And it stops your heart. And you're gone. But my question is, what makes this person any different? They take a extreme risk with life every day. And a lot of them feel like they're not loved and people don't care about them, and it's very difficult for them to get back into the swing of things in regular life. So I hate the word addict because it does not give a person an opportunity, unless you're very compassionate, understanding, and humble. You actually do not get an opportunity to know that person. People will see homeless people on the corners and automatically register that it has something to do with addiction. I've talked to people and they said, well, I wanted to give them money, but I didn't know if they were going to go buy beer or drugs or something like that. And that's just automatically what the mind of judgment goes to. But nevertheless, I hate the word addict because they're still human beings. They still have a heart. I met some of the most wonderful, intelligent, amazing people in my career field. They are loving. They are friendly. They have dreams, goals, and aspirations. They have families. They have friends. But they also have traumatic life experiences that have led them on a path where they need to be redeemed. Just like all of us, we all have some sin or imperfection or something in our lives that can come in and take over, like a green field that is suddenly filled with weeds, and then you can't see the green grass. This is what happens in their lives. It gets so bad for some people that they lose houses and cars, money and children and people. They lose their hygiene, meaning that they don't wash or eat or sleep because the only thing that they can think about is this illicit substance. But I want someone to hear me today and understand today that it is harder than what you think, because the brain starts to depend on this drug so much to the point that a percentage of people don't function. They can't function. You have, I hate the word addict, but you have a functioning person and a non-functioning person that are addicted to illicit drugs. Nevertheless, as I stated, I hate the word addict because of all of the negative connotations that come with it, the feelings that come with it, how they have to sit with themselves and, yes, come to the realization that they have a problem, but now they are branded. And this is how they are seen. So today, I just wanted to come on and paint a different picture. Give someone an opportunity to understand someone that they wouldn't give the time of day or talk to or socialize with because of what they deem as that unredeemable issue. Now, I've heard testimonies where people have gotten delivered just through praying, God, please take this away from me. I don't want this anymore. And he's definitely able and capable. And then sometimes he sent people through the long journey where they've gone to counseling and made my job wonderful because I love talking to them, where they've gone to counseling. And they've had the long process of going back through their childhood, forgiving the people that hurt them, forgiving the people that they've hurt, making amends with God and a covenant with him that they pledge that they won't do it anymore. And then life happens. And it's a roller coaster. Up and down and back and forth. And we have to understand how exhausting it is for them to lose money, time, opportunity, chances, relationships, all because they are addicted to a drug. As I stated, I hate the word addict because they're human beings and they're people. They are people that have hearts and have feelings. And sometimes they need someone to step in and be gracious to them and loving to them and love them past themselves. One of my patients brought in a quote and it said that inevitably our fear is that we are loved in spite of ourselves. And that helped me understand that God loves us in spite of ourselves. He loves the person addicted to drugs and alcohol in spite of themselves. And ultimately, he knows why they're doing it. My question is, have we taken the chance to sit down and understand why they do what they do? If you haven't, and you know someone that is addicted, I challenge you to do so today. Take the time to make that person feel human. Do something nice for them. Let that be their decision. That's what unconditional love is. You just love that person for where they are at that time. It doesn't mean that you're not hurt or that you're not disappointed. You ultimately just let that person be. And so those are a couple reasons why I hate the word addict. It is my heart that someone understood this, that you share it with someone, that you are inspired. And I'm going to be back with more content on this conversation because a lot of times I hear not a lot of content from the addict. And I'm sorry, I hate that word. It's so frequent. I hate it. But just, I want to paint a different picture. I want to give someone that has the issue hope. And ultimately, I want them to be known as human. So other people don't feel threatened, afraid, and scared of a person that has an issue with addiction. So I hope that you have a wonderful day. I hope that you share this podcast with someone. And I am going to be back with more information. And I hope that you have a wonderful and amazing day. Goodbye, everybody. Good morning, everybody. I hope you are doing really well this morning. I want to welcome you to this morning's episode of The Dialogue. I am Patricia, your host for this morning. And it is my prayer that you are feeling encouraged, that you are ready and motivated to move forward to expedite your destiny, that you are ready to fulfill your optimal purpose, that you are ready to understand, which is one of my favorite quotes by Mark Twain, which states, there are 2 great days in which you were born. And it says, the greatest one is when you find out why. The greatest day is when you find out why. And I paraphrase that because it does go different. But at the same instance, when you find out why you were born, it actually gives your life more purpose, and you have a reason, and you feel like you have more motivation to get up because you know you have something to do, something to execute, and someone is depending on you to execute what it is that you need to. So I want to welcome you to the dialogue, and I want you to just sit back and relax and take this as an opportunity to understand that someone is thinking about you, someone is concerned about you in your life, as well as the decisions that you are making that not only impact you, but impact other people. And so without going too deep into that, because I definitely can feel that. Well, actually, let's go ahead and talk about that for a second, and then I'll go ahead and get into this episode's content. We as people have to understand that when we have a purpose, our purpose is to be fulfilled, because it not only gives us fulfillment, but it also goes and impacts other people. So if there's an organization or a company or food or an invention or something that you're supposed to create, make, or do, what you don't do is lacking in the earth at that time that person may need it. However, God will always bring another person to do it. So it's never without being done. It just can take more time. So make sure that you're up, you're ready, and you're motivated to do what it is that you were called to do. Okay? So I had to do a little segue. So let's get back onto our main topic. Today I want to talk about turnaround. I want to talk about the word turnaround, and how turnarounds can sometimes look in your life, and how sometimes they can take place without you even knowing it. So the other day I was coming to work, and you guys know by now that I'm up at 4 a.m. to do a drop off by 5 a.m. to get to work by 6 a.m. And so yesterday I was on my way and I was driving, and I just so happened to notice this sign on the road. It had a specific place, and then it said the word detour on it. So I flew past it. I mean, the highway that I was on, it was going about maybe 45 or 50. So I flew past it, but then when I noticed it, I said, okay, I need to see that for sure, because to me, it served as a sign of confirmation to something I was previously thinking and that God was dealing with me about. So I said, let me go back. So I backed up, and sure enough, that's exactly what it said. It said the word detour. And so oftentimes in our lives, we are in situations and circumstances around people, and we need a detour. We need a detour because the detour sometimes takes you to where you're meant to be, push you around the people that you're meant to be around, push you in the environment that you need to be in order to produce and or execute, or just become the person that you ultimately are meant to become. So sometimes you're going along with your life, everything, you have your vision plan, you have everything mapped out. But today I want to tell you to leave room for the detours. Because even though it seems as though it's inconvenient at the time, the detour can ultimately lead you to your turnaround. I'll go deeper and give you a couple more examples for content. Say, for instance, you're a business owner, and you've been working with this specific business owner or partner from the origination of your business. It seemed like it was a good partnering. You guys have been doing okay, but you notice that you want to take your company to the next level. You need something that's next level, on a cutting edge, something that the people can't do without. And so you decide, okay, I'm going to detour. I'm going to back away from this business partner relationship because I need someone with newer insight, fresher ideas, fresh revelation, or whatever may have you. So you decide to detour. Okay, so a detour is when you're going one direction and then suddenly you decide to go another direction, or another direction has been carved out for you. And so what happens is you split from that person. And then as you're on your detour, you come into the company of another person, which ultimately serves as a turnaround for your company. So that means you meet someone else, and now they have new, fresh ideas, exactly what you wanted. And that's how turnarounds happen. Now you and this person are working together, your business is flourishing, you're getting more ideas than you ever have. They're having you look at things differently, different perspective, different way of handling the company, and less stress is on you, and you're happy as well. Let's take it a step deeper when it comes to relationships, intimate relationships, and connections. So I have seen this a lot, and this is probably why I want to touch on it now, because I've seen it so many times. When it comes to a woman that is about to be married or in a relationship, you will see that she is around a lot of friends, around a lot of women. They talk all the time. They go places all the time. And it seems like it's okay. It seems as though it's fine. And then it comes a point where she is dating someone or seeing someone, and they want to spend more time together. And so she takes a detour from her friends and goes a different route and ends up with the man that she's supposed to be with. They get married, and her whole life turns around. Not only does she have the friend that she wants, she has the workout partner that she wants that helps her stay motivated to have her goals. She has someone that she can do business with, because when you're in a household, that's what it is. It's business. It's transactions of, can you do this and can you do that? Can you execute this and can you execute that? Can you cook? Can you clean? Can you take care of the children? Business is simply a product that is created to serve a need that generates income or finances. And so in a household, I just feel like that's more so productivity and stability. Same concept, just producing something different. Let's give another example of the detour turnaround example, and then I'll let you go to enjoy your day. You have lived in a specific location for a very long time, and you started out networking and meeting people and going places. However, you realize that you're not actually accepted in that place. And so, God has been dealing with you. You haven't told anybody, but God is dealing with you about making some abrupt changes. And so you decide to try something or somewhere else. You were going one direction. Maybe you were in that place. Maybe you were stagnant. You were stuck. You were in one direction, and then you took a detour and went a different way. And now you have more peace. Your health is better. I want people to understand that what I'm saying is that sometimes the detours in our lives happen because the place that we are in is not helping us to move, progress, enhance, develop. You're stagnant. You're stuck. And when God sees that, He will come in oftentimes without your permission, because as I stated, the turnaround actually seems extremely inconvenient. And He will maneuver things and fashion things, so ultimately it will produce another version of yourself. The detour always serves as a purpose. The detour always serves as a purpose as well as a turnaround to increase you, but also to expand you. Because sometimes it comes and it happens when you least expect it. So, this morning, I wanted to just get on very briefly. For some reason, last night while I was laying around, it wasn't that I couldn't sleep, but for some reason, if you know the gospel artist, Fred Hammond, it just says, late in the midnight hour, God is going to turn it around. It's going to work in your favor. That song just kept replaying and replaying and replaying. And I was like, well, okay, well, what is turning around for me to work in my favor? But I'm going to tell you, if it's turning around to work in your favor, you have to be willing to go the direction that it's pushing you. You have to be willing to go the direction, even if it doesn't seem like it's going to work out, because he says he's going to turn it around, and then he confirms it will work in your favor. So the turnaround, sometimes it turns you around. You feel confused. You feel like this doesn't make any sense. You feel like this is not how this is supposed to be going, or how this originally started out. Nevertheless, if you stay with it, nevertheless, if you trust God, if you have faith, unwavering faith, that God knows what he's doing and he knows why he's doing what he's doing, it will be executed beautifully. You'll have the favor that you need, the blessing, and the peace. So thank you so much, everybody. I hope that you enjoyed this podcast. You can definitely follow. The podcast is also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and Google. These are 4 platforms that the podcast is available. If you want to connect with me, you can find me on Facebook as Patricia Tomlinson, on Instagram as _ Patricia Tomlinson. In my Instagram, or on my Instagram profile, it's actually a link tree where you can purchase the book Succumb if you are interested in having a fun adventure with a little bit of twists and turns, a couple turnarounds. You can purchase that through Amazon as well. So I also have journals available that are on Amazon that are available for you to write out content about yourself, or just journal your daily activities. It's actually a women's prayer journal that is available on Amazon. So those are just a couple products that are available for you to further you on your journey of fulfillment for your authentic identity and purpose, which will ultimately lead you to your destiny. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'll be back with more content soon. Don't forget to share this, and I will be back soon. Thanks, guys. Bye.